Hey, it is me, Unapologetically T, and I am here. And I wanted to do a video on people saying this generation is weak. I do think that my generation and the next generation. So you got baby boomers. Um, you got, I think, what is it, Gen X? Then you got millennials. I quote me, like look. I always tell y'all look stuff up because these names and shit I can't always keep. Because Gen X and Gen Z always mess me up. But I think it's Gen X. Because then there'll be Z and Y. All right. And then you got millennials, which is my group. But I identify with a lot from millennials to on. And then I also can identify with like my daughter's generation, which her generation is, I think, Gen Z. And so this was triggered thought from today. I've been struggling. So yesterday was like an awesome day. It was like I got outside. It might be the tree pollen. I call it the tree pollen. I call it the tree sperm, but it's pollen. But basically that's all it is that, it's spring, and in order to like have life, you do have some asexual plants, but you do, like to have life, got to fertilize the earth, and for some reason me and my child is allergic, and so many other people. So I don't know if it was that, because I did have to take some Benadryl, so I probably feel like really groggy and need to like rest up, get the medicine, and hope that them histamines, get my body to start reacting to this stuff. So the antihistamine, excuse me. So because literally that's all an allergic reaction is basically your body telling. It's like your body is looking at whatever is coming into your body as an invader. It is like an invader, intruder alerts, and so they literally start sending histamines, and it gets overactive into certain locations. For me, it is up here. So yeah, I've been having a day, and I'm letting them have their moment. But I have been having a day, and so I overheard, and I didn't want to overhear it, but I had to fix me something to eat. And so like I said, I've been having a day. I've been moody, and overheard my mother talking about these generations. This generation, they're so much weaker than us, and she was talking about me and on. So like our generations are so much weaker, and like coming up in her time, and then she even mentioned like, her mom, and then she even mentioned as a child, defying her mom, and saying like, I don't know why kids, just try to go against their parents. So it's like, it was a lot of things in that conversation that I overheard, and I'm telling you, like, I on an average, I do not want to be a part of her conversations. I don't want to hear her conversations. I usually don't even walk in the fucking kitchen unless I got headphones on, because that's how much her conversations irritate my soul, and it's just my protection to just not hear it. So I was having a moment today, and then I heard that, and that shit triggered the fuck out of me, because it was like, I can't fucking stand some people in your generation. And don't get me wrong, I respect the generation that came before us, because it would be naive of me to not acknowledge that their generation had to go through whatever they had to go through to get here. But I find that the generations like from her generations, like that are typically older, that didn't heal, they're very nasty towards the generations that came after them. They do look down on us. They do look at it like we're weaker than them, when in all actuality, all you're perpetuating is that we should take abuse, because you took it, and you think you're stronger because you decided to take abuse and push it down deep, act like it was a badge of honor, and not even in a good way, not in a badge of honor in a way that you was going to alchemize it and do better, for the next, but more of you was going to perpetuate that shit onto the next person, and because they wouldn't want to take it, they're weaker than you. And it's crazy to me that happens. But I do say that I have the utmost respect for my mother's generation. She was born in the 50s. They had to go through some pretty fucked up shit. And they did have to go through some pretty fucked up shit, and there was no one teaching them these coping skills. My mother grew up in Jim Crow. She grew up during segregation, and she grew up with a lot of the like old time slave mentality type of stuff. So she grew up with a lot of abuse. And so I feel like what they mistake as a weakness is actually a strength. And I think there's a strength in enduring abuse, but it becomes a weakness when you don't heal what you've had to endure. And so with the generation now, what you're seeing is you're seeing a generation who's saying, I'm not tolerating this shit. Like, I'm not going to allow you to step on my neck, and I'm not going to say anything. Like, my daughter generation, they are not going to allow you to fuck them over and they not speak up for themselves or take up for themselves. I think it's a beautiful thing. I do not think that they are weaker in that sense. I think all generations have their weakness. If you want to point out a weakness for my daughter's generation, or even mine, is more of our attention spans are crazy. Our attention spans are all over the place. They can be short, they can be this, they can be that. It is very warped, and it's hard to focus on one thing. So that's a weakness of these generations that we need to talk about. But tolerating abuse is not a strength. Tolerating abuse is survival. And we should be happy, definitely in the Black community, that our children are not facing the exact same thing that we had to face. So like, hearing that was just disturbing as fuck to me. It triggered the fuck out of me, and I had to sit with that. I had to turn on some sounds and just lay the fuck back down. Cause I'm like, weak where? Like, you won't acknowledge that we have had to put up with the abuse from you. So the abuse that you didn't deal with and that you didn't heal, you carried it on with us, and we had to deal with that. So weak, nah. Confirmation. Weak, no. We ain't have to put up with that shit. So we shouldn't have. My generation did. We was underneath that authority of, your parents is your parents and you must shut up and listen. My daughter generation, it wasn't the same. And I always tell people, like, I wasn't going to silence her voice because mine was silenced. Like, even if I could talk, it didn't matter. So for me, I always wanted her. If I done birthed I know I done birthed a queen. Why would I try to silence her? Why would I try to make her feel uncertain and all that stuff? So like, and I'm not saying that I haven't in that process. I'm pretty sure I have definitely carried on some ridiculous shit that was taught to me that I didn't even realize was ridiculous. And some things I did realize it was ridiculous, but I just didn't know another way. However, the things that I was able to identify, like, nah. And that I knew it was another way, nah, I wasn't gonna do that. And so I just heard that, and I definitely feel that the older generation definitely deserves their flowers. They dealt with a whole lot, but I do feel like them to want to continue to perpetuate that, like, this generation or the generations after them are weaker is a mental illness. And no one should have to put up with abuse just to say that they're strong. Like, I think that definitely not from the people that they love. Like, that's insane. The people that you love should be able to give you love if you're going to already go out into a world that's fucking wicked and fucked up. You shouldn't have to deal with the abuse from them, plus go out into the world. Like, I really feel like no one was worse to me than my family. No one treated me worse than my family. It was the most confusing shit I ever got from experiencing what they called love. There are strangers to this day who have fucked me over, and they don't have nothing on my family. They have nothing on the abuse and how the abuse left me feeling. So I literally say, I don't think is that this generation is weaker far as their ability to take trauma. I think this generation is a generation that is aware and feeling the trauma that the generations before them would not feel, could not feel, and didn't have the coping skills to feel it. Didn't even have the awareness that they shouldn't have had to go through the certain things that they went through. So I do think there are some weaknesses in the generation, but it's more based on because technology. Technology has allowed for the attention spans to be short. I even deal with this stuff, like the attention span for me is way off. Social media, just like being out of touch with interacting with people in person. A lot of these kids are struggling with like social anxiety, of not really wanting to socialize in person, but they'll get on their phones and socialize online. Or they're just holding their phones all the time. Not being active. So if you're not like putting your child like in some type of sport or some type of movement, the weight gain, that's something like me and my kid is working on, trying to, be healthy again. Because like food is an addiction and we don't talk about it as much. We watch 600-Pound Life and we laugh at, these people who are in these extremely obese, like they're facing obesity to the extreme, but like a lot of us are facing obesity, period. So just I think there's weaknesses in those areas, but like the ability to take trauma, I think that we all are taking trauma. I think that this generation is literally saying, I would not be silent. I will not be silent about this. I will not be taking this. Like, I'm not gonna take this. And I think that's beautiful and that's growth. And I think that all of this is happening for a reason, the way it's happening, and it's not to be weaker. It's for the best. That's how I look at it. I just feel like it's for the best. When they say wiser but weaker, I can't really get down with the jargon of that, because if you are the one raising the next generation, to think that they're getting wiser but weaker would be a failure on you. And that would mean that you're failing your children. And so I think what's really going on is that we actually have children, definitely in the Black community, that are able to like speak up. I do think on typically white children do get to verbalize more, like, whereas in Black children we were taught to just shut the fuck up and listen. And it's a very authoritative dictatorship type thing. There is no room for the opinions and feelings of a child, and I get it. It came out of survival. You already got somebody trying to kill you from this angle, and we still have this, right? We still have this, but not to that physical extreme as they did back then when my mom was growing up, just from the stories alone. But you already had somebody trying to kill you from this angle. So I understand that was survival needed. I understand that colonization started this whole ideology of how we raise our children. However, it's time to break that cycle and raise our children to be themselves, raise our children to be happy and healthy, raise our children to believe in themselves, raise our children to have a high self-worth, and not allow other people to mistreat them. It's time, because I always found it weird that, like my mom always would mistreat me herself and then be upset about what type of friends I picked or what type of men I picked. And it was like, I'm picking what I know. And she couldn't even realize that. She still can't realize that to this day, that I was picking what I knew. I was picking what y'all showed me. And so I picked what I thought I was worth. I picked those things. I didn't love myself. I didn't know how in those environments. I didn't really know how. And I think today too, there's a level of forgiveness like I've always had for her. but I never really forgave myself the way I was forgiving the people who were mistreating me or abusing me. And so it's and forgiveness for me right now at this moment, because I've talked about forgiveness throughout this whole journey and it looks different each and every time. But like forgiveness for me at this moment is more of like understanding that the things that happen to me, they hold no physical weight over like or like internal weight even on my worth, how my life is gonna turn out. None of that stuff. Like my ability to love myself. I could tell these stories and not always feel the pain. Some things I'm still working on. I'm not perfect, but like just knowing that the place that I am in forgiveness now is more for like for myself, and just knowing that these things can't hurt me anymore. Um, Even when I do feel pain around certain subjects, like I definitely like go within. For me, I really rely on God a lot. I really rely on God a lot, and it's a whole team that definitely spiritually, internally, like that I rely on to heal some of this deep trauma. I have found that healing is definitely within. Self-love is within. I need to do a video on how I was seeking love from everybody else but myself. And the moments that I started to seek love within, like the moments I started to have externally love that showed up externally. So, you know, that's a big one. So, yeah. But yeah, like this generation definitely has some weak areas, but I don't think they're weaker. I think that it's time to pour into this generation and let them know how great they really are. It's time to get this generation to put their goddamn phones down. That's something I had to do today to my daughter, because it was almost like I said, I have been struggling today with my own energy and all that stuff. I just felt off balance. And when I do take Benadryl, like I definitely feel this drag, and I just feel like it's some residual. I need to lay down and go to sleep. So I definitely was irritable. But however, she was irritable about something that happened between my mom and her, and I was just like, you know what, this is her house, and this is why I told you I don't want to be here. Like, cause I don't have time for the games. But because I got you in tow with me, literally this is the only place I have right now. So I'm doing what I do to make it work, for us until I can get the hell up out of here. I am literally following all. I feel like I'm following all the things I possibly can, because it's so many things. I'm following all the things I possibly can do. That is a part of my passion to make money so I can get out here. But the economy is so fucking screwed right now. So like, I as a mother had to fucking suck my shit up and just be like, you know what? It's time to have self-control and bitch, get what you can out of this situation. And I think self-mastery is it. Self-mastery, self-regulation, all that stuff came out of being back here. So like, it's now where she's, starting to see that this is not a comfort zone. This is, a means to an end. So yeah, like, but she was kind of disturbed, and it's like I've noticed that, like, even with the dad situation, which I told y'all, I've been able to detach myself from that shit. I noticed that, like, my child is like an extension of me, to the point where if someone hurts her, like, it can make me act irrational. And so learning that, I gotta have these conversations with her about, like, how you can't lose your cool, like, how whether she's right or wrong, this is her house and we here, and we're gonna have to respect her, right? to respect her to a certain degree while she's here. So like if she has a rule and it wasn't a rule at first and she just now want to pop out and says a rule, this her house, baby. Now disrespecting us, like cussing and talking to us in a kind of way, I'm not gonna deal with that. But her keeping you on your toes, because she can't be direct, she can't be assertive, like, so her keeping you on your toes because she doing shit sly and manipulative, that's something that you're gonna have to start identifying that's what's happening, and just go with it. So literally it kind of like that added to like me being off balance today, and so I'm just trying to keep my motherfucking footing. But that bothered me, and I just wanted to make a video about how this generation isn't getting weaker. I think there's hope in this generation. I think that technology is too much. Technology is going too fast. I think that AI is dangerous. I think that humans are getting so fucking lazy that they'd rather something else do it for them. And I think if we're not careful, we've seen it in movies like I, Robot, and so many others where you literally think you asking for some extreme problems to allow consciousness to be into artificial intelligence. That's literally, you're trying to make new beings and you're trying to play God. So thinking that you could control these new beings just like you control us. And I think that's going to backfire. And I definitely pray that something gets disrupted with that. Because technology is growing too fucking fast and too soon, too much, and some of this shit is just stupid. Some of it is just stupid. Like having a world where I seen the other day, like y'all want us to pay with our wrists. Shit, like we literally hear this in religious texts of the mark of the beast, and like you literally have it right here in your face. You have a lot of things from religious texts that like talks about the end of times, and we're seeing it here. And yeah, it's been happening all along, but we're seeing a lot of it happening in these days. I'm not really afraid of end of times. I think like we're always ending times. What I am cautious of is that we don't want to become what can I put this as? I think of Wally, and I think I've spoken to this before. Like I think of Wally when I think of technology advancing too much and man being comfortable with everything being done for them. Like we don't want to become like Wally. And I'm not talking about being out in space. I'm talking about the point of we're not even walking anymore. We're just floating around in chairs. No one's really talking to each other anymore. You know, that type of stuff. Being removed from actual humanity and all that stuff. So, yep, that's my little spiel. And I'm gonna end it there.